some people might know me as the what the guy because I am a Talking Watches alum. And if you go on the Talking Watches YouTube channel, you will see me, my episode. I was just showing my friends Rich and Judy this on our way down here. You'll see my episode sandwiched between
Yeah.
Jean Arnault, Adam Levine,
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran, and John Mayer. So I'm the what the guy because people see that and like, what the is this guy doing in Talking Watches? Sandwiched between these absolute pillars in the watch community. And I think that does go and speaks to just how open and welcoming Hodinkee and this watch community really is. So the first question I have for you, we're all here because of a collection that you've curated,
Yeah.
12 watches right in the back that I have not yet seen.
Yeah.
How do you come to just 12?
But I appreciate the question. And, we did a little preview this morning for some press. And this is the first time that I've really thought about kind of putting together a curation like this in the physical form, right? 12 watches that mean so much to the community. We wanted to do something that spoke to everybody, that the most serious collectors, I'm looking at a few of them right here in the first few rows, to people that are just getting into it from the UBS side, from the Hodinkee side. And so you'll see things ranging from a Casio G-Shock, which, you mentioned Ed and John, they've collaborated with us to do Casios. We love Casio, all the way up to a vintage minute repeater from Vacheron Constantin. And I think what we wanted to do is find 12 watches that represent the very best of the culture, the creation, and certainly the craft that goes into watchmaking. So you'll see everything, as I said, from a Casio G-Shock to a vintage ultra slim minute repeater from the 40s, and kind of everything in between.
There's not a brand that comes to mind that was left off of that curated list of 12.
Yeah.
You have Journe,
Yeah.
you have Longa, you have an Omega that's been in space multiple times.
Yep.
You have a dead stock F1 Tag Heuer, which I'm actually pretty keen to see because I just bought 3 of them.
Did you?
I asked my friend Dan to be my best man at my wedding next year,
Yeah.
and I got one engraved.
Oh,
so
wow.
he was only worth the friendly budget of an F1 Tag Heuer.
He's not getting the Rolex?
Not getting the Rolex yet.
Yeah.
What was an honorable mention? Because that list is impressive.
Interesting.
And that's not to take away from anybody who was potentially left off this list.
Yeah.
But when you go through what you have back
Yeah.
there, you're talking about watches that could range from back then when they were selling them new, $20
Yeah.
to stuff that you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot, and I think, to be honest with you, probably the hardest thing to figure out was which Rolex to include, right? I mean, like the Paul Newman, right? Like that's probably my favorite watch, or at least top 3, or a Daytona, right? There's not a Daytona on here, but I think when you think about Rolex in particular, the Submariner, and I see Sean Connery over there looking awesome with the Submariner, that really defines the brand for so many. So that, the Daytona and GMT were definitely, right off the list. And then Patek, the other kind of pillar, the independent pillar of the community. We went with the Calatrava because it represents an entire broad spectrum of watchmaking, simple time-only watches. I wouldn't call a Philippe Dufour or Recepi watch Calatrava, but they are in that family. And so that was meant to define the entire three-handed family. So the 5970, Patek, the 2499, these iconic watches. But I think ultimately I wanted to find watches that represented entire categories. Whereas 5970, 2499 really represent their own family, right? I mean, that's a very particular, incredibly important to a very small number of people watch, but it didn't speak to me at this global scale the way that these watches did. Like, I think, for example, like the IWC, like the ceramic watches is how we categorized it. The use of ceramic from IWC has changed everything. Now we have AP using it, Girard-Perregaux, et cetera. So we wanted to find representative watches that meant a lot more than just a finite thing. So I mean, like the Cartier Crash, right? I mean, that has come to define in many ways kind of creativity in watchmaking, but now cultural hype as well, right? You see Tyler the Creator wearing it, you see Kanye wearing it back in the day, and these watches are so different and so special relative to like an IWC Pilot's watch. Like they couldn't be more different. And I think that's what we tried to do with all these.
And just for the record, the Rolex Submariner that's on display here, who does that belong to?
That's my watch. So that's a really special watch to me. It was the first vintage Rolex I ever bought. I bought it in 2009. It's a 5512 ghosted bezel. And if you know anything about Hodinkee, you see a lot of these ghost motifs throughout a lot of our limited editions. So the ghost Leica, we've done 2 of them, inspired by this watch, with a faded bezel. We did some collaborations with Drake's and some other brands, and the ghosted kind of facade, which has then turned into a Pantone 422C, which is Hodinkee gray. It was really that bezel on that watch and that watch that really kind of gave me the inspiration for a lot of the stuff that we did. And that watch I'll never sell. It's just the perfect thing. It's a 5512, so the chronometer certified watch. I wear it all the time, and it's just a it's kind of a no frills Submariner. It just does the job.
The people that you've got to meet and you've become friends with, and the trips you've got to take, all for this silly hobby that we all like to enjoy. When you were an analyst at UBS,
At UBS.
thinking like, man, I love watches. Can this be this? There's no way you could have told yourself back then that it could have, right?
No, certainly not. I think, actually my parents were here this morning by coincidence, and they popped in just to see the setup. And obviously the connection was made that at one point I worked at UBS, and they were so concerned that I was going to lose health insurance. And like, they're like, what are you going to do?
As one does.
As one does. Yep. And now that I'm a parent, I do get that. But I really wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be, at the time a blogger in like the literal sense back then. And so I applied to journalism school based on Hodinkee, and my parents were like, you'll never get in. They didn't say that, but I knew they were thinking that. And somehow we did get in, and then kind of went off to the races. And that was 16 years ago. So it's been a long journey. And I think that's kind of what makes this exhibition so special is I've been doing this a long time, by my standards anyway. This has effectively been, my only job. I was at UBS and consulting for a brief period before, but this is really my only job. And to now do this and bring this activation to life with the help of UBS and obviously the team at Hodinkee has just been amazing. And so we have these exhibitions and these photographs out here. In the back, we have 12 watches themselves. They have some amazing photography shot in-house by us. But what's so amazing about these watches is we were able to work with the brands directly in many cases. And what Hodinkee can do, and what we're doing here, is we're getting a lot of brands to play nice with each other, which there are some brand representatives here, so I won't speak too ill of the Swiss, but it's hard sometimes to get brands to play nice with one another, right? So I chose an AP Royal Oak, one of my favorite watches. I'm wearing one. We have a Patek, we have a Lange, we have a Vacheron. Like, those are 4 incredible brands. Nobody can dispute that. And they're in direct competition with one another. And yet we were able to work with AP to get a very early Royal Oak B-Series stainless steel. We were able to work with Vacheron to get an arguably priceless platinum minute repeater from the 40s. And I think that's what's so special about Hodinkee in this community is we're able to do things that other people can't do or wouldn't even try because it'd be so hard to kind of like, thread the needle to make this all happen. And the one thing I should say, some brands were nice enough to even go above and beyond and say, not only work with you, but give you special pieces that are really like historically important. So we have a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso that was owned by Douglas MacArthur, with his initials and engraving on the back. We also have the actual first Omega in space. I'm looking at that Speedmaster on the wall. That's not it. It's a steel watch in there. I mean, literally the watch that inspired it was the actual Wally Schirra's watch, the astronaut's watch, which then led to Omega being selected for the Apollo program. That's here tonight. I mean, it's just stuff that you literally can't see. That watch lives in a safe in BLBN, Switzerland, 99 out of 100 days of the year. And we have it here tonight.
Which is obviously the natural follow-up is the insurance policy on all of the watches taken out.
Hodinkee Insurance.
Is, okay, hey, perfect.
Yeah.
Nice plug. Oh, yeah, and actually upstairs, it's cool. Ricardo, who is a JLC watchmaker, is literally taking a movement apart from a Reverso. So what's next? Because obviously we're friends. I follow your goings on social media, whether you're at Ryder Cup or you're in Monaco with Tag Heuer at an F1 race. What's next for Hodinkee? What, in your eyes and estimation, is next for watch collecting and watchmaking? Because there's a lot of young, up-and-coming brands that people are paying attention to. You brought a hell of a watch roll when you brought your brother and your friends to ESPN, and you're like, yeah, it's a new up-and-coming watchmaker. And I was like, you don't hear that sentence very much.
Yeah. I mean, I'll kind of start in reverse, and I think about watchmaking, and I just want to have a quick call out because there are 2 special exhibitions here tonight. So we have Jaeger-LeCoultre has been nice enough to bring one of their watchmakers, so you can actually see how a Reverso is made upstairs. You can also get your wrist photograph for an instant wrist shot.
Awesome.
And they'll airdrop it to you right away. And then over here, we have an amazing gentleman named Benoit. He's from Maison Alcé, and they do these incredible handmade clocks that you can actually build yourself. and they're over here in the corner. There he is right there. He and his lovely wife, and she couldn't be here because they actually just had a child, so congratulations.
Congratulations.
They were winners of the Grand Prix of Horology a few years ago, and I got to meet them there, and I was so blown away with what they're doing. They've created effectively an in-house clock that you assemble yourself over, dozens of hours. And he's here tonight to show you how to do that. So again, right over here in the corner, I want to make sure that we give him a lot of attention because it's really something amazing, something that we really believe in. But in terms of what's next for Hodinkee, I mean, look, as I said, I've been doing this a long time. I want to still add to this community, and that's why I'm here tonight. Like doing exhibitions like this for new people is why I'm here. We're here to inform and entertain. We're here to educate. We want to make watches as fun and as playful as possible. And we also want to do things in real life, which is why you'll see more of me and James and Malika and Tantan and Mark and the whole Hodinkee gang. Andy's here from Geneva, by the way, in person. And I think that's what's so special about the Hodinkee of the old days is we would often activate in person. We'd go to the Red Bar meetups. We'd have our own meetups. We'd do brand activations. We would do things like this, although never to this quality for sure. And so what you'll see from us in the future is more of what we used to do in the old days. But now with the partnership with Watches of Switzerland and being able to see things at a global scale, you'll see us all over. So as an example, James Stacey, our editor-in-chief, and Tantan, who's here, are going to host some events in the UK. I think later this month. Is that right, Tantan? Yeah, he's shaking his head. So later this month, they'll be in the UK. I did an event about 3 months ago in the UK, and we had at one of the Watches of Switzerland stores, we had 500 people show up off of an Instagram post. And so we want to do more live events to get people to touch and feel and really meet people and do things in a way offline. Because I think offline, I mean, you're on TV every day. I'm on the internet every day. It just, the feedback loop can be a little askew.
We keep fooling them.
Yeah, one of us does. And so we want to do stuff offline and do things in a more personal way.
What do you want to get your hands on next? You've told me some cool stories that I don't think I can share in front of a hot mic in front of 250 of my closest new stranger friends. But what next for you? Is it still fun? Do you still get to experience the chase? Do you still have to live the chase?
I live the chase like everybody else. I think there's this idea that I can just like snap my fingers and get whatever I want. Like that is not.
Well, you've told me some stories.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you saw the video we did with Ed Sheeran back in the day where he talked about getting a Tiffany signed Nautilus. He really did wait 5 years. I know that because I was kind of a part of it. I was adjacent to it, and that is true. And I think there are certain watches that I would still love to get my hands on. I will say, father of two, the things change fast.
Sure.
We'll say that. So, I sold some pieces last year. I'm still buying watches, but at a much slower clip than before. The watches that I love the most are a lot of the watches you see here or variations of them. Vacheron, Lange, Patek, AP. Boring, maybe. I don't know. I still think that they do amazing things. I got to see the AP RD5, which was on Hodinkee last week, which is an incredible thing. I mean, it's the same size as this, but it has a self-winding chronograph tourbillon. It's just remarkable. I can't afford it, but it's still a great thing. There's still a lot of people doing really special things. And then independents, Simone Brett, Recepi, Berneron. There's so many great kind of brands out there that are doing special things. So I'm still very much in the game. It just takes a little bit more for me to kind of get across that line to actually take out my credit card and go for it.
Is there a white whale out there that you haven't handled, that you haven't seen, that you are still waiting to either get the call on or just handle in person?
Yeah, there's a vintage watch, and I've said this a few years ago at another event we did. There's a watch that I would love to own, and it's a watch that I've had the chance to buy a few times. And so I'm very American, as you can tell. I do not speak French. Yeah. And in the 1940s and 50s, there was a guy named Briggs Cunningham, actually near you in Connecticut, who sailed the America's Cup. He ran his own race team at Le Mans. And he ordered some of the most special Patek Philippe's in history, right? So most of them, the big ones are in the Patek Museum in Geneva. We're talking, 7-figure watches. He had one watch that was a very simple time-only Calatrava, reference 565. It's engraved on the back, Briggs Cunningham and his hometown in Connecticut. I've had the chance to buy it twice. One time it was before I had $1 to my name, so it wasn't even a possibility. The second time I don't know why, I just didn't bid on it. And that's a watch I would love to own because I love his story. He's so American and so special. He's almost like a Paul Newman character, but a real life Paul Newman character. And his home is basically 15 minutes from where I now live. And I would love to own that watch. And the watch is also just beautiful in mint condition.
Do you know who has it right now?
I don't know the name of the person. I know where it is. It's far away. It's in Asia. But I know after I said this once before, somebody kind of approached me saying, he would potentially sell it, but we'll see. The price was a little high. So it's something that I'd love to have, but if I don't have it, that's okay. I've got other things.
Do you still play sort of the character? Because I know I certainly do, depending on what watch I wear. If I know I'm taking a trip, I'm wearing a GMT. If I know I'm going to take a drive, I'm wearing one of my Daytona, my singular Daytona. If
You only have one Daytona?
I have 2 Daytonas.
Okay.
I am on the list, though. I am on the list. Do you still sort of play that part? Like, how many watches do you put on a day?
A day?
I put on 3 watches a day.
No, walk me through that.
If I'm going to the gym, I know it's wearable tech, but my steps never happened if I can't look at them and be like, those steps happened.
Yeah.
So it's the Apple Watch. It's the watch I wear on TV with whatever suit, and then like whatever watch is the newest. So I mentioned I bought a couple of the F1 Tag Heuers,
which is one of the watches we selected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm super keen on seeing, and I'll just throw that one on when me and my fiance are at home sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Watching TV. She's watching TV and I'm looking at the watch.
Yeah, look,
this is so sick.
Look, I think the cosplay is a big part of it. Like, so I took my nephews to Germany last week, which was on Instagram, and so I'll tell you what I brought. So for the flight over, I wore a GMT.
Come on.
Yep, you got to do it.
We're so alike, Ben. We're so alike, dude.
And then when I got there, I put on
Porsche design. I watched you with the Porsche design on.
We went to Porsche, so I wore the Hodinkee Porsche design. And then when we went, we drove south towards Schaffhausen and over towards Munich. So I wore our IWC and I wore that home, and that was it. So those 3 watches. So yeah, I think about that stuff still. But so when you're on, like, I did a talking watches yesterday. I wore something by design. I did a talking watches with a friend who's here right now. I wore something by design then. When you're on SportsCenter, do you think people are watch spotting you? Like, do you think people are?
Yeah, actually, super funny story. So I started at ESPN, and I used to host SportsCenter Snapchat. It's the most fun I've ever had. But I had just purchased my 116500, my Panda Daytona, and I was doing SportsCenter in a hoodie because Snapchat was super dressed down, so you can see it. My watch walked in the room, 5 minutes before I did when I bought my Daytona, and I remember it was like a Reddit thread of, there's no way this dude who hosts an internet show has a real Daytona on his wrist. Oh, I was so offended. I was like, matter of fact, I got it at retail. So yeah, I still I have fun with it. Depending, I know what I'm wearing for SportsCenter 5 minutes before I get ready for SportsCenter. Nothing's ever planned. I think I wore this suit last week, as a matter of fact. So I always like to wear something because I'm pretty muted on TV. I like wearing stuff that does have a little bit of a pop. So the celebration dial, I love it because if it's peeking out of a white sleeve, you're gonna see a hint of it. I got a Tag Heuer Skipper earlier in the summer, and I just love the nautical theme, especially in the summertime. Short answer, yes, but this isn't about me. This is about you, Ben. What's on the wrist?
I'm wearing a 15202 BC. Which is the white gold Royal Oak. This is one of my favorite watches. The first watch, actually the first person to invite me on a press trip is actually here tonight. I don't know where he is, but Paul Lerner, who represented, there he is. Hey, Paul.
There we
He's
go.
a legend. Paul. If you know the watch industry, that man's a legend. So when Hodinkee was one person, it was me. I got an email from Paul saying, hey, we'd love to meet. And he and I became friendly, and he invited me to CAP in Les Brasseurs. And that was literally a life-changing experience in many ways, really. But at the time, I had one watch. It was the 5512, which is here, the Submariner. And when I went to AP and saw how the Royal Oak was made, that just, blew my mind. The pantographs to do the dial and how the jumbo was assembled. And this is when AP it was a different time, right? I mean, these watches, I don't want to say were everywhere, but they weren't what they are today. And the Royal Oak and the jumbo, to me, is one of the best watches of all time. So from a personal perspective, it's incredible. From a wearability and technical perspective, it's incredible. And this one is, the reference is 15202 BC. A lot of people thought that the BC was for Ben Clymer for a long time. That's not actually true for the record.
It's not?
It should be for the record.
What?
It should be for the record, but it's not. But this is just a favorite watch. And this is one that we photographed on the wall here as well. So I wanted to bring it back around.
Last question I have for you. You are the forward-facing founder of Hodinkee. Everybody knows who Ben Clymer is, especially in the watch world. I mean, how much credit do you give yourself? Do you sometimes take a step back, give yourself a pat on the back? Because you should. That's the thing, is like, we're not here if you weren't a board analyst at UBS saying, man, there's so much more than this. I could be a blogger.
I don't give myself a lot of credit, but
you should.
That's very kind. Like I I think in many ways, like I represent or struck a nerve with a certain kind of person. The watch industry, and I've said this elsewhere, 15, 20 years ago was really different. Like a luxury watch was sold for like the opulence of it, right? Like the expense of it. And I think, both my parents who were here this morning actually were effectively teachers, public. So I don't come from this world at all. And so telling stories about Paul Newman in the early days or Steve McQueen or these like just cool guys, like just cool stories, I think really struck a nerve with a different type of luxury consumer, which has now become a bigger thing, and we see this here. But it's been an amazing journey. I mean, there's like I have to do it, but like the team at Hodinkee and everybody that made this all possible, I wouldn't be here without them. But it's been an amazing ride, and it's amazing to see how far the watch industry has come, how more inclusive it is now, how bigger it is, how much friendlier it is.
It's younger too, which
oh my God, the average consumer of Patek, AP, Lange, etc. When Hodinkee started was in their 60s or 70s. Literally, I know that. Now I would guess it's in their 30s, maybe 40s. But maybe even the AP, maybe 20s. I don't know. Really young guys buying really expensive things. Yeah. And whether that's good or bad, that's up for debate. But there's no question that the industry has moved forward in such a progressive way. And I'm definitely excited about that.
I lied. I do have one more question.
Okay.
Who's the one person, because you've met so many, who's the one person you met because of watches? It could be a talking watches or become friends with, and you're like, holy
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot.
So many.
There's a lot.
But you have to choose one.
Yeah. There's two. I mean, Jay-Z.
That's pretty sick.
Jay-Z. And so Jay-Z was amazing because it was early on in my career. I was actually still at Columbia, still in graduate school. And I brought him a Reverso, actually. And I was dropping it off at his house, and he was playing Carnegie Hall and whatever. And, his assistant's like, hey, can you just chill out? He wants to talk to you about something. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. And I was looking at my watch, literally that watch, 5512, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be late for class. for class. And I'm just like, do I tell Jay-Z I gotta go because I got like journalism 101, or do I tell my professor that I'm late to class because I was at Jay-Z's house? So the Jay-Z experience early on was amazing. More recently, I mean, look, Spike Lee, legend, of course. Cool. Lenny Kravitz.
Just please tell me you didn't throw up the rock when you met Hova. You didn't hit him with...
I may. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I may.
And with that, we're out. No, can we give it up for Ben? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
For having us, for you and the team, putting this together.
Thank you very much.
It's awesome. Great stuff.